Or can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right.
We're recording
I
everything.
took my earbuds out and it sounds different to me, so I think I need to put them back in. Howard, you recording?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, very good. The meeting tonight is for the conduct of town business by the town board. We are having a Zoom meeting because of the coronavirus, and if the public has a comment for the supervisor, you could raise your hand or say, "Excuse me, supervisor," and he will call on you during public comment.
Thank you, Danielle. So this is the second meeting of the month. January's almost gone already, guys. I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
which
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Just a brief moment of silence, please, for our brave men and women fighting all over the world for democracy and freedom, and also for our first responders, our nurses and doctors. And a special shout out there to our teachers who are doing a great job. So keep in mind all those great people that help us get through this pandemic. So I'd like to make an amendment to the agenda. Under new business, I'd like to add public employer emergency plan, something that me and Alan's been working on, Alan Koenig, Councilman Koenig. So I need a motion to amend the agenda.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda as stated.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Now I need a motion to accept the agenda as mentioned with the new business.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Moving forward. Motion to approve minutes from the January 11th, 2021 town board meeting.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And
So-
folks, oh, sorry, he can move. Oh, just to be clear, that was my birthday night. We had ordered dinner. It showed up late, and then my wife had to take a work call that lasted for like 45 minutes, and then we had dinner, and then just the whole night just spiraled. So sorry about that.
Understood. We're gonna dock you a day.
Okay.
That'll be
About
25 cents, Al.
Hey, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't take a day off for one meeting last year for a vacation. So
There you go. It's a die.
No, it's only $1 for the day, so don't. Not that much.
So did we approve that motion for the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. So I need authorized payment of bills in the amount of $362,493.48.
Yeah, so I'll make that motion.
I make that motion.
All right, Eddie made it.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you, but your picture's frozen.
Kinda hear you.
me now?
It's a problem then. Okay, moving along.
Maybe you should log back in again, Ed, like you did last week. Try that.
I don't know if he heard you. Oh, maybe he did.
Yeah.
So I don't have any presentations today. I don't have any comments on the agenda. Okay, let's move forward. As stated with the amendment to the agenda, new business public employer emergency plan. Al, thank you for helping out. At one of the supervisors meetings, this was brought up, and the supervisor from the town of New Paltz said he would share what he's done with this emergency. This is something that is called upon us to do, to have, especially during this pandemic. And it entails a lot of things. And Alan Koenig also said that we should probably add in as far as, people that can work from home because of the confusion last time. And so it has the basic things about, washing hands, masks, and all that other stuff. And just, would you like to give a little recap, Al, of exactly what it is? Or
Yeah, I mean,
but basically that was what it was.
Yeah, basically you explained it fairly accurately. It's basically just like a blueprint of what we're going to do if and when the next time this happens. It just kind of sets up a list of protocols or, operating guidelines. It was pretty good. We think we changed a few names here and there, the town name. It covers all bases as far as I'm concerned. Again, going back to what Al said was, I think we had a lot of confusion in the beginning. And again, we were, this never happened to us or the town before. But I think there's some of our employees were a little confused of like, hey, how come they can work from home and we can't? How come they're off and we're not? I really think all of us should work together. I think it would be really quick too. We could probably knock it out in a week. It's just to define roles and each job position and job, description for each employee. And some can work from home and some just cannot work from home. You know what I mean? So the administration part of it is fairly easy. And we do have it's in those guidelines. We do have the tools to do that too. We have the laptops. I'm not sure about our VPN status, Scott, and you might know more about that because you're on the tech committee. But I don't know if we have a VPN where they can log in from home. But if not, that's something we should definitely work on.
Well, yeah,
we don't have.
Yeah, but we had that working from home thing or whatever that Danny sets up for all the ladies that can work from home. Log me in.
Log me in 1, 2, 3.
Log me in. Yeah.
So that's probably like a quasi VPN then. You know what I mean? If they can access their files, and that's what it is. And if we have that in place, that's fine. And we have the tools. But it's just, it's just the definition of, hey, let's face it, the highway department can't work from home, but we did accommodate them by splitting the crews. It's just things like that. And the police department is their own entity as far as, they're the most vital service, in the town. We can't operate without them, period. So I think we did a great job. This defines it, lays it out in black and white. And we could just tweak it a little bit, like I said, with the job description.
And the state wants to see a emergency plan too, so that fulfills the agreement with the state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tweak a little bit, send it to you, Al, and then we'll send it out to the board.
Okay. Should we send it to legal first, or you think it's?
No, I don't think so. I
Okay.
think it's pretty much
Yeah.
self-explanatory. So
Al, staying with the topic of the COVID shutdown and everything, I got a call today from Justin from the police department, and we had talked about possibly, and I know Howard talked to them and Eddie talked to them about possible doing something for the COVID shutdown, and we kind of like went back and forth. How can we help our police officers out who had to work through the whole COVID crisis, where some others were able to be home. I don't know where we left off with that. I know we were kind of like saying, wait till next year and see where we're at.
right.
That's what I kind of told Justin. And so here we are next year. So I said I would bring it up tonight, and possibly we want to open up a discussion via email of how we might want to proceed with something. That's up to you.
Well, I think we started the conversation with the chief, right, Chief?
Yep.
As far as, any added benefits, monetary benefits to the police.
Chief had a nice formula going. I think maybe if you could put that together, Jerry, again, and send it out to the full board.
Yes, sir.
Give them an idea of what you were talking about, that you talked to me and Al about, right, Al?
Yeah, it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, that, the chief suggests we just don't want to give it to our full-time officers, that we should probably give it to our part-time officers, which so it's a few people. So
We had a good formula.
Yeah,
He had a good formula for the part-timers. So I think if he sends that out, I think it's pretty good. And it encompasses dispatchers also and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring the conversation back up and see what the board thought, because we are in the new year and we have promised we'd look at it again in the new year.
Well, let's check first with the chief and also check with Chris where that money might be coming from, if there's any money there. So I don't want to jump the gun right away.
Yeah,
Find
I
out
agree.
what the cost is and then see if we could do it. I don't want to have any hopes up and then we can't do it. So yeah, let's get into it. We started dialogue. So I think that's a good thing.
And again, this was going to encompass, I think, the building department, anybody that kind of pretty much worked through the pandemic,
Right.
that, work their normal 40-hour week. And it's just something to look at if we could do. I mean, there was one other suggestion I had too, is possibly, because this is money we already have on the books. It's through our sick time that we have to accumulate. And, at the end of a police officer's contract or an employee's contract, they get paid out so many hours in sick time regardless. So we're supposed to have that money on our books already. I was thinking maybe if we couldn't come to a number as far as extra buyout, maybe we could give them a week's buyout of their own sick time, something like that. That's money that's already on the books, but just another suggestion.
Let's check it out, see where we stand.
Yeah.
And then we could bring it to the board.
Okay. Thank
Sounds
you.
great. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
I can tell you that if there's not anything else under new business, we could go to the workshop topics. I can tell you on the short-term rentals, we're getting close. Been working with Tom Corcoran and the lawyers, so.
Yeah. Now, I just wanted people that have logged in, and I don't recognize the phone numbers. So there's a phone number 914-475. I see your face. I don't know who that is. Could you enter?
Donna Howard and Mickey Finnan, 20 Sands Avenue, Milton.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And there's a number 896-543-65447. Who was that? Please. Excuse me? I can't hear you. Maybe you could log back in again and identify yourself. You're muted too right now. Okay, I'll go ahead.
Okay. So as I was saying on the short-term rentals, myself and the building code enforcer, Tom Corcoran, have been working with the lawyer. I think hopefully we'll have something next week for you guys to look at, and then we can move forward on that. So that's the update on that. I asked Tom to give a update on the COVID-19, put on his other hat as the legislator of the town of Marlborough. Tom?
All right, so from last week, Ulster County, as of today's numbers is 8,993 people. That's up 618 people who've had it since day one. Marlborough's at 525, and that's an increase of 43 people from last week. Right now, we have 126 people active in the town of Marlborough, 394 recovered, and unfortunately, we had 5 deaths since the pandemic broke in March. Obviously, the doses coming from the federal government into the state and being distributed of the vaccine has been very light and disheartening that we haven't gotten as many as we should have. Overall, the Mid-Hudson region itself, has received 123,150 doses, and the Mid-Hudson region has administered 100,677 doses. Of that, in the Mid-Hudson region, of the complete region, unfortunately, Ulster County initially received 1,200 doses, and last Wednesday we got an additional 1,000 doses. So we've received 2,200 doses in Ulster County, and all 2,200 doses have been distributed. We are waiting on doses to come back into stock so we could reopen the two sites we have in Ulster County. It's up at the Kingston High School and the Ellenville Regional Hospital is our secondary site. Ulster County has a distribution plan put in place, and we have for some time. We've been well prepared for this. And right now, we sit as of today able to administer 50,000 vaccines per month. But obviously, those are not on their way to us, and we look for better distribution to the state, to the region, and obviously to the county. So again, the county has worked hard to make sure that the distribution plan is in place. It is in place, and will continue to move forward. But again, without the vaccines coming from the federal government to the state and being distributed, it becomes hard for us in Ulster County to distribute 180,000 people we have in Ulster County as of today. So as of today, we've tested 235,469 people have been tested. We did that. That's an additional 10,000 tests from last week. We have 227,447 of those are negative, which is a good thing. And unfortunately, over the last week, we've incurred another 26 deaths in Ulster County. Right now, again, Ulster County with the 8993 who totally had the disease since day one. We've had 2,458 that are active as of today, and that's up 106 people from last week. We've had 6,332 people recovered. And again, unfortunately, we had an additional 26 deaths over the past week. So again, with the vaccines on their way, we look forward to getting as many people vaccinated as we can to help reduce the spread of this disease. And again, Ulster County's been on top of it. And at this point, we're at the mercy of the federal and state government to get us the vaccines.
When you say 2,200, now is that the first shot or second shot or the combined?
First shot.
So
the first shots were initially given on Monday, January 11th. Those were the original 1,200 doses we had. And then on Wednesday, January 20th, we gave the additional 1,000 doses that were given to us. We do have appointments for the second doses, that those people that sat down for the first doses, they got their second appointment, but we have not issued any second doses yet.
Any questions for Tom?
Do you think they'll have the doses for the second shots? Are they?
It's not funny, but it's funny you asked, because this past weekend I was on the phone with the county executive's office, and there was an additional 300 vaccines that were due to come to be given to Ellenville Regional Hospital, which would have been their first 300. And when they opened the box to administer the 300, there was 300 second doses, and they weren't able to give the doses. So the executive office with their deputy director, Mark, did scrounge around to the local hospitals and other facilities and scrounged up enough first doses to get those 300 people in Ellenville vaccinated this weekend. But will we get the second doses? I believe so, because I think at this point we have 300 sitting here that were given to us mistakenly.
Yeah.
So it seems like the second dose is available because we've received them. Again, at what rate will we receive them? It's still to be seen.
But isn't the second dose supposed to be within 3 weeks? I mean, how could you, if you wait 6-7 weeks, then it doesn't work.
That's why I said, I believe they'll be there. They're there because we received 300 already by mistake. So I've got to believe they'll be there. Am I going to guarantee anything? No. Do I believe in my heart they'll be there? Absolutely. If they've given us the 2,200 doses and now the additional 3 that we had to find, I mean, will the 2,500 doses be there for the second round? I got to say yes. I mean, I'm 99% sure, yes, they'll be there.
Yeah, and Ulster County, I believe, is using the Moderna, so which is much more, it's less volatile with the temperature, so they're probably going to be fine. If it was the Pfizer, they may have been in a little trouble there.
That's correct.
Well, thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Tom?
Thank you. No,
Thanks,
thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tom. So on C is planning board member terms. This is really going back and forth here. Either we have 7 members. Let me preface this. So they say that we could, basically, if we have 5 members, it would be 5-year term. If it's 7-year members, we'll have a 7-year term. But also, that's not set in stone by the state. The town board could change it to whatever they want each member to have a term. I kind of agree with Howard Baker. If it's 7 years, you make it one person every year, so it's a 7-year term. But that's basically up to the board and the conversation we're going to have right now. So that being said, what are you guys thinking?
No, I know I've kind of sat out on a lot of these emails. I have been reading them though. It's just every time I seem to want to reply, something else pops up. But I'm in favor of the 5. I have been for a while. I think there's a question of how we're going to roll the current members in there to get back onto a schedule. As far as that, we don't have multiple people going off in 1 year. And I think that seems to be bringing up a lot of, the back and forth questioning, and it's what's keeping it going. But I think I kind of like the way it's laid out. With the, let's get it back into a cycle to where we can actually not have everybody having, everyone's term expiring at once.
Right. I think in 2020, Al, we had 4 people that were up, so
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
that's not a good thing.
That's why I'm in favor of a very simple plan that says we have 7 members. Roll off 1 member every day, so we do a reset. So we have that.
Well,
And,
Howard, we
don't
lost
have
you
to
for
worry
like
about
10
2 people or more coming on the board at once. So, I mean, it's sort of the practice that we've had for a long time. I don't know that it didn't work. I don't know what we're trying to fix by going to 5 years, but that's just my opinion.
How many people are on the board now? 7?
7.
Well, I
I've
emailed
made
a
it
whole bunch of
clear,
things, but my
I'm
opinion
in
is
favor of
5 years
5 years.
too. I don't have a problem with 2 people coming up at a given time. I mean, I
5
don't think
years.
that's really a problem. I do agree with Al, like the 4 people at one shot is kind of a lot. But I think we have it where if we could get it where there's 1 term where there's 2 people, I don't think that's really an issue. I think I laid out some sort of a suggestion that would have done that. It would only allow at one point 2 people to come up. And then if we do it the way it was laid out, that would be 5 years from now that would happen. So I'm still in favor of 5 years.
And what problem does that solve, going to 5 years? That's what I don't understand. Why are we coming up with 5 years when what's
I just
so bad
like
about
5
7?
years.
Huh?
I just like the concept of 5 years.
For what reason though? There has to be a reason. What's
That way, if there's
what
other,
don't
like
you
I told you in
about
my
7
first
years?
email, stated, I like the reason of 5 years because it gives the opportunity, number one, if a member wants to step down without and serving out their term, they can, or if they want to get reappointed. Secondly, it allows for other citizens that may come to the planning board a lot, and want to actually maybe participate and be part of the planning board, an opportunity to get on the planning board longer than waiting for 7 years or 14 years.
Well,
depending on how long.
that's no different than waiting for 5 years. I mean,
Well, 5 years is shorter than
we
7.
have a new person coming off potentially every year. So you could refresh with that one person every year.
Well, potentially.
Whether you choose 5 years or 7 years, you're going to have a person coming off, and you
Yeah, I just want to throw in real
formula of 2 people maybe
Hold on now.
coming off. It just doesn't make sense to me. You have a
And if you
7-member board. You have a 7-year term. You peel off one person every year. That's where you grow and rejuvenate your board.
And if you did the formula I had, one person comes off every year, except in the 6th year, 2 people come off.
And the 7th year,
It's the same. It's the same thing.
So
There's no difference.
In a 2-year period, you have potentially 4 fairly new people on a.
I just said, if you
which
went
is
by the
not-
formula
not
I
the way
laid
you're
out,
Supposed to do it.
it's
just
one
not the way
person
it's
per
supposed to be
year.
done.
It's
So
one person per year, and on the 6th year, there'll be 2 people. That's it.
So Ed, do you have any comment on the 5 or 7 years? Ed?
I think it's frozen.
Howard.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I speak for a minute?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on the board 13 years. Yeah, I've been on the board 13, but I've been on the board 13 years, and we never had a problem with everybody hardly anybody, if they don't want to get off the board, gets off the board anyway. Unless they're leaving the board, that's the only time they leave. We reappoint everybody. So what's the difference? So you're not going to have all new people on there because they're all going to get reappointed. That's the point.
I disagree with you, Ed. We didn't have that. We had that.
That
problem.
situation's never going to occur. The way I've been there for 13 years, I've never seen a person not get reappointed that wanted to get reappointed.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
had
did.
people coming off the board at a more frequent.
And that's why I'm sticking with 5 years.
Ed, just
You're not going to have all new people.
Ed, I don't know if you were on the board, but we did have a situation where we did choose one planning board member over another.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you too, Howard. So we choose to disagree. It's not going to change my mind. You could talk to me till the cows come home.
I'm not changing your mind. I'm just trying to tell you that there was an incident where it did happen that one planning board member wanted to be there. He's been there, it was there for a while. And a new guy.
But if the person wants to get reappointed, we reappoint.
I'm telling you that didn't happen. There was a case where it didn't happen. I'm just.
Guys, can I interject just real quick?
Right. One time. I know it was Mr. Consolidated.
Right.
I remember that.
Right. I'm just saying.
All right.
It was Alan Consolidated.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Guys, I'm just going to go. Here's my opinion on the 5-year term. 5 years is a long time. Let's face it.
Right, and I'm telling you, I was on the board.
I got that, Ed.
Time out, Eddie. Time out. So anyway, going back to this 5 versus 7.
It did happen one time since I've been there in 13 years.
Okay. All right. So going back to, here's my opinion on the 5 or 7. 5 years is a long time. 4 years as a councilman is a long time.
I'm agreeing with you, Howard. I'm agreeing with you, Les. I agree with you. I remember when it happened.
Okay.
One time.
Were we on a delay?
Must
I think
be.
so.
So anyway, 5 years, going back to 5 years is a long time. 7 years is even longer. Look, the way the world moves, especially nowadays, 7 years is a stretch to be in any appointed or political position, period. You have to stay current. Our planning board's very, very good.
I said a word. I didn't say a word.
Our planning board is very, very good. I think everybody on there is very good. We had a conversation at the end of that last year about the planning board. It had nothing to do with the members. It had to do with the procedure. I don't think there's a member on that planning board that won't get reappointed. I think they're all there and they're with it. And if they wanted to do 5s, that's 10. But the world does move fast and it does change quick. And look, if we get a bad board, I'm not saying we have one. Please don't.
I know.
I'm saying that. What I'm saying is, if we ever did get a stagnant board or a board that just, they were kind of laissez-faire about everything and wanted to blow off meetings and didn't really want to do anything, you're kind of stuck with those people. The 5 years is going to be a little bit more of a turnover. People in the community may want to get involved a little bit more. And again, I don't see planning board members getting thrown off the board or not appointed by a town board when they're doing their job, and everybody's been doing their job. But we have to protect the other side of things. If things do go south, we're not going to be here. I mean, why set up a board, 20 years from now to have to deal with a problem if they got a stagnant planning board? So I just think it keeps things fresh. I'm a true believer in term limits in every form of government, and this is one of them.
Okay.
And I think 4 years as a councilman is a long time. You know what I mean?
I agree with Howard, and I agree with the rest of the board. So there's 3 people with like 5-year terms, so I can't argue with that. The last resolution I got from the lawyer, it stated 1 term shall expire December 31st, 2021. And I was thinking, possibly Manny Couchy would do that. In 2021, he would be up again, and then he would start a 5-year term. Mr. Consolidated would be up in 2022. And then once that's up, he could extend to 5 years. And then Steve Clark is 2023. That's when his date is up. So we can continue with that. So that's a good thing. The two people that are up in 2024, James Garofalo and Cindy Lanzetta. And Joe LaFaro and Chris Brand are up in 2025. So that
That's perfect.
2024 with 2 people, 2025 with 2 people. Now, the only thing is with Manny and Bob, that gives them 6 years. But what I was hoping that in 2021, the resolution would state, and I think we have a little disagreement about this, Scott, but we'll hash it out right now. In 2021, I think that's like this year that we give Mr. Transferito a waiver, and if instead of going out to advertise, that he gives us, if he wants to continue, he gives us a letter, and we just automatically put him back on the planning board, which would be 1 year. So he'll be 6 years. And the same thing with Mr. Couchy. Waive the 1 year, and Mr. Couchy would be back on. Now, if that's an issue and it makes it where you don't believe that should happen, then it's up to you guys. I mean, I have no problem with it.
I believe in interviews for every position that comes up. In this case, I would have to say it's only 1 year, and we just appointed these people anyway, for the most part. So for those two positions, for those two, 1 year only. I don't know how the other guys think, but I would agree with that.
Okay.
That thinking for those, it's only 1 year each.
Yep.
I think you guys realize that Mr. Brand spoke to his board about this at their last meeting.
Yeah, we got the email.
And they all were in favor of a 7-year plan, a 7-year term.
I agree. I understand.
So now we're going to go against the will and the wishes of the planning board to revert to 5 years, which I still haven't heard a good argument for it. So I just, it's a matter of opinion. I still think 7 is the neatest and the cleanest way to do it. Planning board has a level of complexity above any other board. They make weightier decisions than any other board. You have to know what you're doing. You have to have experience. Experience counts. 5 years goes by quickly. 7 years, gives you a good view of things. So those are all my reasons for 7 years. But if you want to continue, or if you want to go back to 5, I don't agree with it. I think it's going to cause problems, but I'm totally against it.
So noted, Helen. So noted.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is, because of the board's will, 3-2, I'm going to pump this resolution at the next meeting, and we'll move forward.
I just want to bring something up about we talked about the waiving of the letters and the interview process for the position. That's been weighing on me a little bit. I'm friends with both gentlemen that we're going to be putting on there, and I believe in both of them, and I appreciate both of them and their efforts at what they do. But I also appreciate, democracy. This, to me, this is an appointed position in the town that represents the people, the constituents of the town. Now, I don't think either member will have a problem getting back on with this current sitting board based on the job that they've done. But I almost don't like the fact that we're waiving something that, to me, is part of democracy. I mean, there's people, maybe somebody wants to put their letter in. I'm not saying that they're going to get the position, but it kind of puts them out. And I got a problem. I'm not saying I'm going to vote against it, but I got an uneasy feeling about that.
I have the same reservations, Alan. That's exactly how I feel. It's like, I believe in that interview process. And I know Al does too, because he wrote the code that actually says we have to have interviews. So
Well, nobody's saying
I
we're not
agree
having
with you.
interviews. We're just saying that the people that have been penalized, you should give them the opportunity to keep serving. You're penalizing them.
That's all I'm saying.
So the
It's
people that are
board who's
penalized,
changing
let them
things,
keep
it's
serving.
not them. I mean, if it was on a regular schedule, Alan, I totally agree with you. And Councilman Corcoran said that back in the day in 2008, Lisa Biggin and myself, we wrote this resolution that you have to get anybody that was stepping down had to go through a process where we advertise. But I think because of the situation we're having now, it's an unusual situation, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I think for 1 year, I think, like Councilman Corcoran says that, for these two guys, they put a lot of time into it, especially Mr. Consolidated lately, and I think it's
Look at that
just goes out of respect and give them.
Yeah. Look,
a lot of
I-
classes and stuff.
Yeah, again, as I started, I prefaced it. I don't mean any disrespect to either individual.
I don't
What I
either.
do want to respect is democracy and the process. So I don't think either individual, there isn't any reason this board would not put them on. They are exemplary members. Their attendance is great. Their effort is tremendous. Their attention is incredible. How would they be unseated? But for us, I mean, you got to look at it from the other side, folks, and we're on our side. Let's look at it from the outside. For some people, the perception of that would be sleight of hand governance, and I'm not comfortable with that at all.
Not if we have a resolution that we pass.
Yeah, we have a resolution that we passed, but still, I mean, we're passing the process. We're passing the process.
Right?
Somebody, if they wanted to, Howard, should have the opportunity to say, "Hey, I'm interested." Now, they're going to be very hard to get the position based on the performance of the individuals that are there. So their odds of getting it are very low. But Howard, hold on, Howard, listen, I didn't interrupt you. What I'm saying is, the person, I didn't interrupt you.
Okay, go
The
ahead.
person who puts a letter in is probably not going to get it based on the performance of the individuals that are there, but it may keep their attention to keep them coming back to the meetings to become part and to become part of the entire board. Maybe they'll now be attentive and come into the meetings and follow things. I'm not saying we're going to unseat anybody or someone's going to lose their position. What I'm saying is, from the outside looking in, it could be sleight of hand governance. That's how I am. I'm conservative like that. That's how I feel.
I don't see how it's sleight of hand governance if we.
It can be perceived. I didn't say it was, Howard. I didn't say it was. It could be perceived from the outside looking in. I'm not saying it is.
Well, people perceive a lot of things, but if we have a written down and make a resolution, I don't see it that way. So.
I just have a question.
Could I?
Since I'm a little new to this, how are members of the town planning board, how is that known that a position is open, and if you'd like to apply for that, how does that work?
So basically what we do a process. The process is we put an ad in the paper, we put it on our Facebook, and we put it on our website.
Okay.
And then we schedule people who are ever interested. We ask for their resume. Once the resume comes in, it so happens that me and Howard Baker are the liaisons for the planning board. And so we interview and then we make a suggestion to the town board.
Okay,
So it's
thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Anytime.
The other thing I just want to say, and I'll shut up, is, there's nothing in there that says that these are for life positions. If you're in for 5 or 7, no matter what, there's nothing that says we can't remove that person, I don't think, for poor performance. If after a year or 2, they're not attending, they're not doing the training, they're just not an active member, we can remove them.
There's a lot of things, Howard, as you suggested, the credit. You have to have a certain amount of credit. Right, Jen?
Training credits, exactly.
Amount of credits to continue on. You can't be absent more than 3 times and stuff like that. So there's some criteria to the whole planning board process, which you have to do.
Yes, I keep a log of everybody who attends and who doesn't attend. I also keep a log of their training hours. I send it to the chairman like every 3 months of who still has to do their training. So, there is I guess, a process.
And then who evaluates them or their performance?
How
is that done?
Actually, so by the way they demonstrate it is by the way, like Jen was saying, the classes they go to, the knowledge that they gain by attending the planning board. At a planning board meeting, we also have guidance by an attorney and by an engineer, which also helps tremendously. And basically, each applicant goes through both the engineer and the lawyer. So when an applicant comes in front of the planning board, which first starts at the building department, Mr. Corcoran will say, if they go in front of the planning board, then it goes over to Jen, and then it goes to the planning board. There's a whole process. There's a checklist. And we're getting much better at that. We're consolidating our checklist. Like when we talk about the short-term rentals, it's a site plan. If you went for a site plan for a short-term rentals, you'd be there for quite a few sessions. But we're trying to streamline it to like a couple. We're trying to streamline a couple of other things too, so this way an applicant doesn't have to be there according to what applicant is proceeding with. So like the lot line change, we just did in 2017, we did a resolution that you don't need to come in front of, the board doesn't have to see a public hearing. They don't have to have a public hearing. So it's like a one meeting shot. So there's a lot of things that we're getting into where we're streamlining things, but basically the performance is according to the chairman. You know, I sit in on a lot of the planning board meetings, and anybody can. And basically, so the 7 individuals that are there right now I've seen them come a long way because of going to classes and just learning a lot. They got their heads into it. So, and they do a good job. I think they do a good job.
I think we're just very lucky because we have a very good mix of people on our planning board that are from all different aspects of life, and they feed off each other. And I think we're just very lucky we have good, talented people that, like you said, actually do attend classes and actually are involved. So we're fortunate in that aspect that we have really good members on our board.
I agree, and it's getting stronger and it's gelling more. It hasn't always been the case. Not that
Correct.
long ago, it wasn't the case. So I want to cherish that and strengthen it and keep it strong. And that's another reason I'm on the 7-year kick.
So let me.
Hey Al, Bobby, can I ask a question, please?
Absolutely, Bob.
Hey, being that I'm a new kid on the block and I replacing a member that stepped down. So basically what you're telling me is when my term is up towards the end of this year, I submit a letter that I would like to still be on the planning board. Is that how it's going to work?
I don't think your term's up for another 4 years, right?
Yeah. No, it's 2022.
Now, to get on
4
schedule,
years? I thought it was.
now to get on schedule, it has to be somebody that, according to the resolution, the effective date the local law expires as follows. So 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. 24 and 25 will have 2 people on each one to get
Al,
5
Al, I
years.
think,
Well, what time is, what date am I up? I thought you told
Bobby,
me.
I think you were
you said
22.
You were up in 2022.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's, okay, thank
So in
you.
2022, this is the second part of the resolution that I'm trying to get down.
Okay,
Give you a waiver. Al's not in favor of it. Scott's in favor of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in
whatever
favor.
you do, whatever.
And
I'm just curious.
what happened was you would give me a letter, and according to this resolution, you would give the town board a letter saying that you would like to continue at your appointed planning board.
Okay,
And then the clock ticks 5 years. Then you're on for 5 years. The same with Penny. And then it so happens that the rest of them all fall in line 23, 24, and 25. Their term is up at that particular time. So we don't have to change 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members.
Yeah, it only affects 2 people, Bobby, basically. It's how you gotta just
Okay.
change 2 people and then everybody will fall in line pretty much.
So,
Right, yeah, just trying to understand, that's all. Thank you.
I'm in
Appreciate it.
favor of it.
It's pretty confusing, particularly if you go to 5 years. It makes it more confusing. But anyway,
let's move on, Howard. Let's move on.
Oh, is that also going for the zoning board or is that just for the
No,
planning?
not the zoning board. It's just the planning board.
Okay,
You only have 5 members on the ZBA.
okay, thank you.
This 7 is what screws it up. When we change to 7, anyhow. So the other second part is
simplifies it. Actually, doesn't screw it up.
yeah. Everybody okay with the resolution stating that those 2 guys get away?
I'd have to see it and read it again, Al. I'm not sure what, is it the resolution that you sent out a week or 2 ago?
I could resend it. It states that there was a resolution in 2008 that would waiver these 2 gentlemen. So I'll send it out, but I'd like to know now, unless I have to make those changes before sending it out. I don't want to keep on going back to the attorney and spending taxpayers' money. So as I know some people are not in favor of the 2 waivers, but I like the consensus from the board.
I don't have a problem with the waivers. I have a problem with the 5-year versus 7.
We know, Howard. I got it.
Okay, so you're clear.
I like, and you know, I like the 5 years. I don't like the waiver, but I'll compromise. I agree with Alan on all the points you made. But at a compromise,
I'm fine with it.
I would say, okay, for those 2 people, it's only 1 year, so
That's it.
I'm okay with it.
Ed? Okay. And Alan, we know and I respect your opinion 100%, Alan.
Yeah, I would be okay with the 5-year. As long as it says in there that it's only going to be this time for those waivers. I mean, again, those 2 members would not have a problem getting back on the board, basically.
I agree, Alan.
I agree. Okay, so moving forward, I'll have that resolution for you in next week at the next meeting. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for the conversation. Howard, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So down here I have under workshop topics, me and Councilman.
I'm okay with it also. I'm fine with it.
Thanks, Ed.
I make a motion that we send our IT representative to Ed's house and get his
change his dialogue.
Yeah,
Eddie needs to make a visit to your house, Ed, because
go to bed and Ed will be answering questions.
like Ed, I don't know what it is, but you're on a major delay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to bring the board up to date that myself, Charlie Maggio, Dennis Larios, Gil from the town of Newburgh, and his engineer, Jim Osborne, and myself and Councilman Koenig were on this conference call about the Aqueduct closing and what the backup supply from New Windsor would be.
I didn't say a word.
So I just wrap it up to say it's not good.
I'm on the spectrum. I don't know.
So the thing is that getting water from New Windsor, we think it was good. And correct me if I'm wrong, Alan, because I'm getting old here, but they were expecting the water supply coming from the aqueduct, but also they had some wells, and they thought that the wells and the aqueduct would equalize where they could give us a break as far as per thousand, per million. Unfortunately, their wells were contaminated. So the price, what I got was what the price they're charging their consumers, which is a lot higher. It's almost double what we're being charged, what we charge our consumers. So it's an ongoing thing. It's not going to happen, I think, right? You said 23, 24, Al, something like that.
At the earliest, and probably with a delay. So
So
it's
I
coming.
just want to make the board aware of that, and now, and if you want to keep in, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what you hit it pretty accurate right there, Al. They thought they were going to be able to pull from the one aqueduct, and then the DEP actually invested a lot of money in their wells based on this. Was a considerable amount of money that they had actually put in. They actually got caught with the same contaminants that run the city of Newburgh's water. Yeah. So they had to put an additional filtration plant on there, hence the upcharge of the gallonage rate. I think this conversation is early, which is a good thing. With the town of Newburgh, we're fortunate to be getting them early. And I made a suggestion that, hey, there's a guarantee from the DEP that each town gets water. So I think that's an avenue that I'm going to try to explore with the town, with Supervisor Lanzetta and the supervisor from the town of Newburgh. It seems bad now, but I think we could mitigate a lot of the cost, or I hope we can.
Yeah, I hope so too. So Councilman Koenig brought up the fact that maybe we should get in a dialogue with New Windsor to see if we could possibly get that price down. So we're going to find out. But this is something that's going to happen eventually. So we got to make sure that our end users in the town of Marlborough are aware of it and see what happens. Now, the time limit on the aqueduct being shut is quite long. Was it like 6 months to a year or something like that?
Yeah, I don't think it was going to be that long. I think it was going to be 6 months, but the one benefit, if it stays on schedule, is it's going to be during the winter, springtime. So hopefully it's going to be a little wetter, less car washing, no pool filling, no watering the garden. I think the biggest information, I talked to Al, I think after the meeting, the biggest thing that we can do as a town is be proactive with our end users and tell them, hey, you're going to see a little bit of a price spike in this certain time of the season, so adjust accordingly. The businesses, the big end users and the businesses, i.e. Brooklyn Bottling, a couple of the other breweries and wineries that I guess we're going to be popped up in town that are using, are going to have to be made aware of. But the residential homeowners is going to be affected. But as long as they know a year or two in advance, hey, this is coming, don't fill the pool. You know what I mean? And don't water the garden and fix the leak and toilet. Because it's going to cost a lot more money for water.
Well, doesn't
Hey, Al, they're
water
not
go
going to
through-
use Chadwick Lake?
They can't pull out of Chadwick Lake to get what they're going to need.
Yeah.
Okay.
They need a lot of water.
Water would still be diverted through the Newburgh filtration plant to us, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it would come from the Catskill Aqueduct, I
Right.
believe. I think that's where New Windsor gets it from.
Yeah.
And their wells and Chadwick.
They're contaminated. But yeah, they did talk about, Ed, they talked about Chadwick Lake and their filtration system there, but it wouldn't supply exactly, we use between 750 and 800,000 gallons a day. That's at peak in the wintertime. I think it's a little down, but Chadwick would not be able to supply our end users with just Chadwick. So we have to get it from someplace else. So I just wanted to bring that up.
And it's an issue for Newburgh. It would be an issue for the town of Newburgh as well. I mean, since.
Oh, yeah,
So
exactly.
We're in the same together.
Yeah, we're not the only one in this ball game. It would be Newburgh, the town of Newburgh and the town of Marlborough.
Yeah. And like right now, I talked to Charlie, like right about now, this time of the year, we're using about 500,000 gallons a day, but that's with Brooklyn Bottling. Without them, we're about 300,000 gallons a day.
Yeah.
So it's going to increase in the summer, obviously, and then with the wells, one of their concerns is with the wells and with Chadwick is that, if we get into a drought situation, it could be a little sketchy. So
Right. Are they guaranteeing they're going to be able to supply us the daily usage that we normally use?
Yeah, they're going to supply it. It's a matter of cost.
Right, the cost. I know the cost is out. I'm just wondering.
You're not obligated. It's in our contract that we signed out back in the day. I think 2016.
Right.
Well, there's also, like I said, going back to the DEC, I think it's either the 1904 or the 1906 agreement when they put their pipes underneath our ground. everyone in the town, I believe, is due 122 gallons a day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the DEP has to give us the water. One way or the other, the pipe's still underneath our ground.
I mean, I think Alan has a good point. I mean, I don't know if they'll agree with us, but I think Alan has a very good point, right? We have an agreement with you that you have to supply us X amount of gallons per day. I don't see why they shouldn't pick up the extra cost that we'll pay our normal cost, but if there's an extra cost to that, why wouldn't they pay the difference?
That's what I brought up at the meeting and said, hey, we're not looking for anything for free, but we want our normal gallonage rate and you make up the difference. I mean,
right. That would make sense. I mean, we have an agreement with them, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't, in the agreement, I think it just states, I don't think it gives any kind of cost analysis about what we play, but in the agreement, it's like, basically they're gonna give us backup when the aqueduct shuts down. That's the agreement. I can look at it again, but I don't think there's anything as far as value per.
well, that wouldn't be the agreement between us and the town of Newburgh. I think that'd be the agreement between the towns and the DEP many moons ago, decades ago.
I could tell you, it's probably, they want to, whatever the town of Newburgh is going to pay, they're going to probably ask the town of Marlborough.
Well, the reason that the cost went up, Al, I think in that meeting, the understanding I got, the reason that the cost went up is because of the delivery from New Windsor going through that processing plant.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
that's the price increase.
So just keep an eye on it. Keep on the dialogue. So, and if there's any other question, move along and talk about Councilman Koenig asked me to put this on as Sands Avenue Park. As you recall, during Al's birthday, I read a letter from Gail Appler Jr., people asking what we're doing with that park, Sands Avenue Park. And so basically we had a conversation where, we tried 2 or 3 times through the CFA trying to get funding, right, Howard? It's not something that I think the CFA, because it wouldn't create jobs, and that's what the whole thing is about. They did give us $313,000 for the pier because they figured that would bring in economic development through tourism and stuff like that. But Sands Avenue was, it didn't seem that was a go for us.
No, I think our application was competitive. There's just so much competition for those dollars. And
Yeah.
Guys, I was talking
plugging away at it.
Yeah, I was actually talking.
Just an overview, and then so I was also in on with Alan, Councilman Koenig, at a meeting, the Milton Landing Committee, and they brought it up again. And so there's neighbors along Sands Avenue that are very concerned about the looks of what's going on there. Right now, we have piles of dirt. In the past, we had piles of dirt, but Mr. Zambito lowered, he kind of leveled it off. So now, right now, highway superintendent's getting dirt from the project in the middle school project, which he plans on sifting and getting pretty good soil out of that and laying it down. That's hardly enough dirt to fill in that area the way we want to. Subsequently, I've been having a dialogue with Gail Appler Jr., telling them about this individual that wanted to donate, that was okay with donating, or we were going towards the correspondence of donating from Sandy Loom, which is quite a bit. And Gail knows the individual, and Gail Appler's brother knows the individual well, so they're going to try to hook up and see what happens there. So I just wanted to make you aware of that, Alan, so this way I had a conversation with Gail today. So John is approaching this individual, and hopefully we'll get an answer. If we get an answer, then I think the next stage would be trucking and talking to Mr. Alonji. We figured the best way to do that is to have like Philisello or Noto with those big trucks to haul it down there. The same trucks probably that delivered the other soil. So that's where we are right now.
And just, Al, could I just add to that?
Oh, absolutely.
So what the committee and what the neighbors are doing is they're not looking, like, we have that nice plan for the park, and Howard and Rosemary, they've been trying their best to get, the CFA to do the absolute 100% completion of the park. The neighbors, they appreciate that, how it's going to look. The neighbors just want grass at this point. They don't want to see the rock piles. They don't want to see the dirt piles. They just want grass. They don't want trees. They don't want a path. They just want grass. They're just tired of just looking at what looks like an industrial site. You know what I mean? They understand our limitations, but they're asking the board, is there anything, can they just get them some dirt and some grass seed and let's call it a day?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. If we get like phase one, I think we talked about this last time, Howard, right? Phase one, and get that dirt in there, you get topsoil and get grass planted. That will go a long way just to get the site looking better for the neighbors. I mean, I agree. That's something you can look at.
Yeah, and I mean, and they understand that we're trying to take everything in donations, but in a way, I mean, we may have to say, all right, hey, look, we can't get any more free dirt. I hate begging for dirt, but it's kind of a weird situation to be in. But once we don't, maybe we get an estimate to say, look, what will cover this and grow grass? And if it's sandy loam, it's sandy loam. We grew grass on sandy loam down at the Milton Landing. That's sandy loam down there. That's all donated.
I know
Well,
that.
not donated. It came from the town, up from the
And
landfill.
I have to say that while I'm a new resident to Sands Avenue, that's why I wanted to attend the meeting. When, we're relatively, it looks absolutely atrocious.
Mhm.
You've all seen it. You've all lived here longer than I, but something can be done that makes it look better than it does now.
Understood.
It's embarrassing to have people come in there like, what is that? It says community garden, and it looks like a trash site. So maybe take the community garden sign down might be one first step, but I think we could do something that,
Well, as you heard, so we're in dialogue with the guy with the sandy loam, and I think this board is committed to always, improving our hamlets, and we talk about that very often. As you can understand, as difficult it might sound, is our fiscal responsibility to our taxpayers also comes into view. So I understand what you're saying, and we hear you. And let's see what happens if we get that sandy loam. I'm sure the board would appropriate some money to get custom compost. We've dealt with them before. They've been generous. They give us a good price on some topsoil, and then we'll seed it and put grass in it. So let's see what happens over the month. Well, we can't do anything because of the weather. See how we progress.
Mary Beth.
Ever get an estimate, Alan or Al, or about how much dirt we actually need? Like, how much do we actually need there?
Yeah, it was. I think Alan did one. He gave the town board an estimate. It was quite high. I mean, to do it right.
That was topsoil. Yeah, that was topsoil.
But I mean, how many yards do we need? Do we know how many yards at least we need?
I'd have to look back at my records, Scott, but it was in the hundreds.
Yeah,
Dave would know. Probably just a guesstimate, Dave. What do you think?
Dave, you have any ideas? You were up there all the time. You have any idea?
Well, before
I can tell you this, when you say a couple hundred yards, that's far below what you're going to need there. Just looking at the project, you're talking a couple thousand yards right off the top of my head without even going up there to measure it. I mean, I can measure it unless you have a dimension, and I can figure out what it would cost to put, you're probably going to want to put 3, 4, 5 inches of soil over the top. But if you're talking topsoil, you're talking astronomical figure, which I don't think the town's going to be able to sustain. I agree.
In the
I agree.
CFA application, the exact amount of soil.
Yeah. So
I agree with what Alan was saying. Sandy loam is fine. You guys get sandy loam delivered there, and we can work something out to spread it and spray it. You're not going to get golf course quality lawn, but sandy loam will grow grass.
Right.
And like Mary Beth was saying, I agree. I mean, I take care of the dog park, but that's all I take care of. That front area is atrocious. It's an embarrassment. I mean, we tried to do a community garden. I don't know if you guys remember this. I was at the meeting when a few years ago with this community garden. I thought it was a terrible idea. I'll be honest with you. We live in Marlborough country. Everybody's got their own garden. We don't live in the city. You don't need a community garden. And I knew it was going to happen. We had a community garden. There was several people that took it seriously, and other people just let the stuff go, and it turned into a disaster. Same thing with
some of the other things we're trying to do down there. I mean, we really got to put our heads together and maybe have a few meetings before we decide to do the next step. I mean, it was a nice idea, community garden, but we ended up, you built it, we took it down. Now it's a disaster when you go down there.
Well, we're moving forward. So, Bill Apples, who was the supervisor at the town, in the front, there was all the concrete. We got rid of all that concrete, and we got, I think from custom compost, we got about 50 yards of topsoil, Dave.
Yeah, and 50 was, really didn't do the job. But now, last time I went down there, it looks like I wasn't involved in it, but I guess we put a water line in.
Yeah.
That's all settled now. It looks like a bomb went off down there. I mean, we definitely have to at least address right when you pull in.
Yeah, and talking to Highway Superintendent John Alonji, that's his concern too, and that's why that dirt's there. He wants to sift that dirt and clean the front up there where we did the water line.
Right.
So a lot of people are really thinking about that Sands Avenue. But I agree with Al. Let's see what happens with the Sandy Loon. If we could get the Sandy Loon, it'll be a matter of cost, for trucking it, and then we can move forward.
Well, in the meantime, why don't we concentrate like phase one? Why don't we fix where the water line is, maybe top dress that little area there where the concrete was, clean that up, so at least when you pull in there, it doesn't look so terrible. The area you guys are talking about where we filled in, that's going to be a big undertaking. Maybe if we do at least the front, like Mary Beth is concerned, so when you pull down the road, it doesn't look terrible, and then.
Can we do the front and then maybe put a row of trees or something? So you're like, you don't see past the other, something that.
Scott, you can do a lot of things. It's a matter of this, where's the money?
Yeah, I know it's money. It's always money.
Let's see how much Sandy Loon we can get our hands on.
Yeah.
We have one area. I got a guy looking, I'm gonna get analytics from a project that somebody's hauling for. He's not gonna haul anything in until we agree on the soil sample analytics. So we don't have the same issue we had a year ago.
Right.
And he'll guarantee, he says, and there's another project coming up where there's gonna be super clean stuff. But again, we're gonna be waiting. I'm just saying, let's get some Sandy Loon down. Let's see if we can get it hydro-seeded. Let's just make it an area you can walk. You can put a lawnmower on it. Like Dave said, you're not going to make a putting green or a fairway out of it, but you can take a walk and fly a kite on it. You know what I mean?
And then we could do like we did with the park. We could hopefully talk to John and put some millings down to make the road look good and stuff like that. Those things we could do.
Yeah. And then Mary Beth, I was going to ask you, how long ago did you move to the area?
Just this year.
Oh, because I was just going to say about 8 years ago, that was a 30-foot deep crater. Yeah. And 10 years before that, there was 3 million-gallon oil tanks in it. So it does look bad, but it's looked a lot worse. So,
yeah.
But it really was bad. That crater was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, it could look worse, and then the only other small thing I wanted to bring up is garbage removal from the landing and from the dog park. It doesn't seem, it's overflowing.
Well, the garbage at the landing, I'm on the landing committee, and I'm trying to remember, we don't have garbage cans down there for a reason. The sign says what you carry in is what you carry out.
Well, there's 2 garbage cans there, right by the train station.
That's the train stations. That's
Tom empties those. I was down there today. There was hardly.
So help me to understand, why is there no garbage can?
At the landing?
At the landing there's no garbage cans because whatever you take in, you take out.
But what was the rationale for that?
So we don't want to leave their garbage there.
We're not in the trash hauling business.
Because people gets out of control.
What people will do is they'll take their garbage and they'll bring it down there. So from their house.
Oh, I see.
That's the whole idea.
And the same thing happened, Mary Beth, with the dog park. So we had a conversation with some people, and they said, "Well, if you buy the garbage pail, we'll make sure it was clean, was taken care of." Well, we got the garbage pail, and it wasn't just the dog people that were going to there. It was anybody with pizza boxes or anything that would.
Okay, I get it.
So what we did and I talked to Tom Schroeder, is we took away the garbage pail. It's
Yeah,
the
I
same
get it.
concept that Alan has down at the landing. And
Yeah,
this lady put a black bag there and it alleviated a lot of the garbage down there. So
yeah, I get it. I didn't, yeah, okay.
it's
It's
just a whole thing
just the
that
abusers, that's all.
some people just take advantage of the situation. That's, I guess that's the way.
Yeah, I get it.
So, but we're working on that, Mary Beth. And
All right.
welcome to Marlborough.
Well, thank you. Glad to
Yeah,
be
welcome to
here.
Marlborough.
Thank you.
Mary Beth, just so you understand, and what Al was talking about before, we have applied for several years for a consolidated funding application grant for that upper park area. And we have a complete plan that was done by professionals and so forth. I mean, it's a
Oh,
lot of
yeah,
money.
no, I saw it, right.
Right.
And
I mean, it would look great if that came to fruition. It's just that we haven't been able to get the bucks. So what we're talking about now is some intermediary steps or phase
Right.
steps to make it look better. I totally agree with you. Everybody agrees with you, but
Yeah, I mean,
it always comes down to time and
to
money.
the money, right.
Yeah.
And,
It's not like
yeah,
it's not like we haven't.
I have one question. I mean, I think everything, and I've been in my house and right next to it for a long time to the park, for about 23 years now. So I've seen it through all its stages.
Mhm.
But if we get the grass in, who's gonna mow it?
That'd be me.
Right there.
Dave, right there.
Up there in the upper right corner.
Okay, I just, to me, it just started to sound like the dog park. It did get out of hand,
Yeah.
and the dog park is right at the back of my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take care
But,
of
we're
And-
not negligent about the fact that there's a dog park there and it has to be maintained. That's why we have Dave Zambito take care of the lawn back there. And
But
believe me,
it's only the dog park. It's only the dog park, not the whole property.
no, the dog park.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Well,
anything else, it
I'm
becomes
just
an issue.
throwing these things out. I live behind it. I know that the sign out there says it's from 8:30 in the morning, right? The park's open. We get people at 6:30 in the morning. We get people there after dusk, and I'm all for
Disturbing you?
dogs.
Is
I'm
that,
sorry?
is that disturbing you? Is that bothering you?
Not, it has, and
Okay.
sometimes, and I have called and put it forward, and our police have better things to do, but sometimes I just get concerned with the park too, as beautiful as it is, and as much as I want a park and I support that, I'm just concerned with how it's all going to fit together, because I see things happen and it all looks good, but then it kind of falls apart.
Yeah, well, we're hoping it doesn't fall apart. And if you have an issue with the dog park at a certain time of the day, like in the morning before it opens, you give the chief a call or police, they'll go right up there and take care of it. It's not, it's supposed to be open at 8:30.
Okay. Thank you.
That's not a
And
problem.
I just have one, I know where the meetings, but just one other quick thing. It
Sure.
did say that, Newburgh was putting a proposal together for their funding to develop their waterfront. And then what I read was that the most recent waterfront development was for the Milton Landing.
That's
So
correct.
is that still like in motion?
That's still going. So that's our South Pier. So we replaced, we did the construction worker taking the old pier out. And we ran into some difficulties that we have, instead of wood piers, we have metal piers now. And so you could go, when you go down there, you see them, they're at different lengths.
Yeah.
Right now, we have to cut everything even. So they'll be down there and they'll cut those metal pilings. And then separately being done by a subcontractor from this original contractor, general contractor, the decking is being done. So they'll barge that deck up, the framework for the decking, and then they'll put the deck in. We're hoping that that'll be completed by 2021, before the summer.
Yeah, because it was really that one storm we had that ramp or whatever. that-
Yeah.
That's
some
just there
trees with it.
temporarily. That's
That's
a
a
temporary.
temporary.
Yeah,
The company that's doing the construction with that ramp there, they're supposed to move it, and they're supposed to, as Al said, cut the piles hopefully this week.
right,
By the springtime, hopefully have a nice.
yeah. All right,
I can mute myself. on
thank
this.
you.
Nice meeting you, Mary Beth. Anybody have anything else?
I just
Okay,
want to
okay,
thank
hon.
you all for all of your hard work and efforts. I
Thank you.
love my community.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's appreciated. We don't get that much.
No,
This
I
is
know
very
you work
important,
hard
Kevin.
and a
I
lot of it is
appreciate it.
thankless. I
you.
understand. And I'm not always as active as I ought to be or I was in my youth.
Well,
But
God bless you. Thank you very much for being on the Zoom.
so thank you very much.
Appreciate it. So,
Okay.
I think the public comment, the public has,
Spoken.
Where's
You've
James?
spoken.
so
Thank you for putting up with us.
I like everybody. Thank you, and stay safe and stay well and get that vaccine. So hopefully we'll be all together soon down at the town hall. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Good night.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.